Hello, it's Sarah from Hardcover Hearts, and I'm here with another catch and release video. I know, I just had a catch and release video as an appendage to one of my videos during Reading Rush. But here's the thing. I love going to used bookstores. It is one of my favorite things in the entire world. I'm a fairly cheap person, so I love reading, but I don't want to spend a ton of money. When I do buy new books, I want to be really thoughtful about where I buy from, and I want to buy really interesting books that I'm super excited about. But if I want to explore, and if I want to try new things, and if I want to sample what's out there, especially in backlist, for me, there's nothing like going to a used bookstore. And I am so blessed at living in the Bay Area. There is a bevy of amazing used bookstores. And the ones that I tend to go to are affiliated with our library, public library. So they're called Friends of the Library bookshops. And all the proceeds are revolved right back into the library system, and it's all donation based, both from the volunteer perspective as well from the material that they sell. And being in such a literate community, the books that are usually in these spaces are just phenomenal, just the best quality, as you will see as you watch my catch and release videos. So all of that said, I bought a few books, and so I need to get rid of a few books. So you'll notice a theme in this, and the theme is that there are so many books that have been inspired by some of the booktubers here in the community who have mentioned or talked about or kind of inspired me to take a stab at trying some of this work. So booktube has been very, very dangerous for my enjoyment of going to these used bookstores. I would have probably passed some of these by in previous years, but now all of a sudden spark has been lit. So let's just jump right into it. Let's talk about this first one. I'm in love with this cover. I love a simple graphic cover. So this is inspired by Elizabeth at Bookish North. She's a huge Doris Lessing fan. Now, I am not somebody who reads an entire oeuvre of one author's work. I'm much more of a type of person who will read here and there and be interested and be like, oh, okay, I like their work. Unless it's a series. Obviously, if I'm reading a series, I'm coming back to that author because of the series, not necessarily because of their work. So I'm always fascinated when there's someone out there who loves an entire compilation of work by an author. And she really loves Doris Lessing. And I've been interested in Doris Lessing because she is from Southern Africa, where I'm from. And she has radical political beliefs. She's a communist. And so I'm really interested in her philosophy and her writing and what she's choosing to talk about. When I saw the name first, saw the cover, saw that it's in pristine condition, picked up the back, and it said, "In a London squat, a band of revolutionaries unite in their loathing for waste and the cruelty they see in the world around them." Sign me up. Sounds like a winner. This one might be my first Doris Lessing that I pick. We'll see. Next up, so this is something that I think I've heard from Sean and Bert over at Shawnee Reads. Oh, and I'll link all booktubers that I mention below, all of their channels. So they've mentioned George Simenon a few times, and I found two books. First one is a New York Review of Books copy, Red Lights, with an introduction by Anita Bruckner. And hopefully the glare's not too much. And I love how they just say Simenon. It doesn't even say George Simenon. So this one is set in New York City New York City, about a drive from New York City to Maine. So we'll see about this. What I liked about these two is they're both thriller mystery kinds of books, and you don't usually see them this slim. So this would be a really nice palette cleanser between, or something great for a readathon or an event like that. And then I loved how clean and simple this one is. This is The Train by George Simenon, translated by Robert Baldick. This one did not, even though it's introduced by Anita Bruckner, it doesn't say who the translator is. Translated by Norman Denny for this one. So I'm not sure, Bert or Shawnee, if you have a preference or which of those two you think would be better to start with. I would love to hear that. And then let's see. Next up was I saw this cover, and it is an absolutely pristine copy. This is Muriel Sparks, Loitering with Intent. Now, I have a couple I've read Muriel Sparks, a few of hers, Adam and Momento Mori, huge fan of hers. When I originally saw this, it was also with this book, which is another Muriel Sparks, The Driver's Seat. And you can see I just love these graphic covers. Very, very interesting look. So I already had this. I haven't read it, but I've read two Muriel Sparks already. I've read Momento Mori, which I absolutely adored, and that's the name of Adam's channel. I loved this. Was part of the Virago 40 series for the 40th anniversary. A little telephone there. And then The Prime of Miss Brodie, which I absolutely adored. Really great, very different book than Memento Mori. But I really love these covers, so I might need to start looking for these. This is something that I get in a habit of, is when I see a really beautiful cover or a really interesting design for a book, I want to have all of those in the series. So this is the exact type of thing that makes me go out to used bookstores to see if I can find any in great condition to fill some of these kind of starter collections I've begun. So that was Loitering with Intent. Next up was something that I saw that Sean the Book Maniac has been raving about. And for a moment, I was really scared I was grabbing the wrong one, because he just read her novel and panned it, which is always sad when you're looking forward to something and it's horrible. But this is the right one, because I triple checked. This is Yiyun Lee's Dear Friend, From My Life I Write to You in Your Life. And I know this is the right one because this was a life lived with books. And so that is my wheelhouse. I live for that type of thing. And she talks about William Trevor, who I know Sean was reading it with someone else, maybe Brian from Bookish, but they were both reading it together. So very excited, because Sean was raving about this, and Sean has very good tastes in books when he doesn't bail on some of the things that I like. But other than that, he's great. This is an impulse buy. When I go to used bookstores, I usually don't do impulse buys. I'm usually there looking to see where the things that I've been interested in that have already piqued my interest show up. And so I'm really looking for things I already know about and I've already heard about. So I don't have a list. It's usually just in my head. But I also love the serendipity of it, that you just never know what's in a used bookstore. It's completely random. And so I'm taking a chance on this. Number one is a Europa edition, which hasn't even been cracked. It's Laurence Cosse's A Novel Bookstore. And Le Figaro magazine calls it a hymn to fine literature. And so I just thought it was a really sweet cover. On the back, it said a thriller, a romance, a fairy tale, an Agatha Christie style mystery bolstered by a love story. Wonderful. Yeah, so I'll take a chance on this. I don't know when I'll get to it, but it'll be here. And then the piece de resistance, the most exciting portion, was that they had a Folio Society edition, and it was in absolutely pristine condition, hasn't even been cracked. This is Josephine Tey's The Daughter of Time. Now, I know Josephine Tey as being one of the women who with Marjorie Allingham, and I think Dorothy Sayer, kind of, I think they're from the same genre, same time frame of golden age of British mystery. But so this I was very surprised at, because when I opened it up, I'm expecting to see a mystery, and instead I see this, which is a genealogy chart of King Edward III and how everything. So it's like, oh, wait a minute, this is a historical fiction, but I think it's a historical mystery. So game on, and some just really fantastic, almost modern style. I'm not sure if you could see that. Modern style collage images, very similar to the front. So the only thing, there's a little bit of white hazing right here. That's it. Otherwise, this is perfection. And found it used at a steal. So that is my catch side, and I'm quite pleased with all of this. Thank you, BookTube, for all of the amazing recommendations. Please let me know if you've read any of these, or if any of these spark your idea for something else that I might be interested in. Now let's talk through the things that I need to release to make room here in the apartment. So as much as it pains me to do this, I have another copy of this book. I think I'll get more money for this edition. And by money, I mean credit, to which I can buy more books. So I'm going to release back this edition of Pond. I have the Fitzcarraldo edition, which I think I'm going to keep, because it has all my my little stickies in it for all the little places that I've noticed, and I'm too lazy to transpose it here. And quite frankly, I have a 1-bedroom apartment, so I need to release some things. So this is going to go. The next, in a very similar vein, I have another copy of Confederacy of Dunces. I have 2 copies. One that was given to me by somebody that I admire and really have a great friendship with. And then I also have a really lovely hardbound edition. So I'm going to let go of this. It was a really cute little copy, but Confederacy of Dunces. This is by John Kennedy Toole. A really funny book if you've never read it. And I talk about this frequently as a book that I DNF'd only to come back to a few years later and had a profoundly different experience. And so for me, a DNF, meaning a do not finish, is not a forever type of condemnation. I could, if I'm so moved, pick it up later and have a different experience, which this proved. Then another thing I'm going to release back, not because it's bad, just because I don't have space. And this is The Bay of Noon by Shirley Hazzard. I spoke about this as part of the books that I was going to be reading leading into my vacation in Italy. This is set in Naples, and it is a really beautiful story, very, very well written. It feels older. It feels a little dated, not dated in the sense of dated from a stylistic perspective. You feel like you're reading something written in an earlier part of last decade. So I thought it was really good, but need the space. So hopefully when I release it, someone else will catch it. I'm going to release The Power. The Power, I'm going to give back the Naomi Alderman's The Power instead of releasing the Power. If you've read the book, this is a funny, that may have amused you. This is all the story of how women all of a sudden, for some strange reason, develop the ability to shoot electrical currents out of their hands. And it's such a profound change to the evolution of women that they're able to transform society and become the dominant gender, and what that does to the society, and following a few different characters. I had our book club read this because there's a lot here to discuss and think about. It didn't work for me because I think I didn't believe in the underlying premise. The underlying premise is basically that it doesn't matter what gender you are, power corrupts, and that women would be the same as men when we rule the world. And I just don't necessarily believe that. So happy to hand this off and get a little credit for that. Next is an arc. This Too Shall Pass by Malena Busquets. This was an arc that was given to me. It wasn't an arc that I received from a publisher, so I just haven't gotten around to it, and it's taking up space, so it gets released. Next up, a gorgeous, gorgeous cover for a book that I, was okay. I didn't have the same emotional resonance that other people had, and this is A Whole Life, and this is by Robert Seethaler. So yeah, releasing that back. Oh, the next is sad. This could have been a situation where it was just the wrong time for the right book, but it's a big one and I want to make space on my shelves. This is A Peculiar Ground. This is by Lucy Hughes-Hallett. I was hand-sold this when I was in London last summer, I think. And I think it was right after my father had passed away, and I wasn't connecting with a lot of books, and this is one that I wasn't. This is set in one place, but has different timelines for the same space. And beautifully written, but I just couldn't follow the thread, and I haven't felt the pull to come back to it. So if I do, I'll just look for it at a used bookstore or online, digital copy. And then last is one that I own, but I'm a little conflicted. So I'd love any thoughts that any of you have. So this book is a series that was it's an addition to or a continuation of the story of Harriet Vane and Lord Peter Wimsey. And so if you're familiar with those names, it's because those are Dorothy Sayers' famous Lord Peter Wimsey books. And Harriet Vane appeared in a 4-book arc. And I am here to tell you she is one of the queen characters of literature. Harriet Vane is amazing. I love her. And so when I heard that this author was given the rights to continue the story and kind of continue some a mini little series focused on Harriet Vane and Lord Peter Wimsey, I saw it in a used bookstore, I grabbed it. But I have some trepidation going into it because I know that the family has approved it and it's fine, but the work was left where it was, and but at the same time, I'm super curious. So I actually have 2 copies of this only because I found a cheaper and better, I think for 50 cents, a more pristine copy. So I'm going to give this back. This is the Attenbury Emeralds by Jill Patton Walsh. So please let me know if there are any Harriet Vane fans out there. Have you read this addendum series, and what are your thoughts? Is it worth my time? Should I be releasing the other one as well? So please let me know. Other than that, this is all that I've caught and am releasing into the world. Hope you have a great week of reading ahead. Thank you for watching, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.